Dad's alive? Her voice shattered something I didn't know was still intact. I turned. My daughter stood in the hallway, arms trembling, adoption papers crumpled in one small fist. The other pointed at me like I was a ghost. Her eyes searched my face for answers. I said nothing. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I was calculating. She held the paper out like it burned. "Mom said you died in a plane crash 3 years ago." Her voice cracked. "But you just signed away your rights last week." I stepped forward. She stepped back. I saw her lips trembling, her whole world unraveling. And behind her, Pete's briefcase. My divorce lawyer. In my house. Again. "Uncle Pete is adopting us tomorrow," she whispered. "He's been here the whole time." Her knees gave out. I caught her before she hit the ground. She was too light, too quiet, and suddenly, so was everything else. I sat in the guest room, the one they never used, the one I used to sleep in before deployments. There was a framed picture on the nightstand. My wife, my daughter, Pete, a little family of 3. My dog tags had been stuffed into a glass jar of beach pebbles, forgotten decoration. I turned them in my hand like a coin flip. The signature on the adoption paper was mine, identical, flawless, dated a week before I landed. I remembered that day, the flight back from Syria, the quiet drive from the base, no one waiting at the gates. She hadn't known I was coming, but Pete had. He always knew. He filed the divorce. He filed everything. She just smiled and signed. And my daughter was handed over like property in a private auction. I closed the door, locked it, sat on the bed and stared at the wall. The betrayal wasn't loud, it was efficient. I smiled at her the next morning, just like I used to. Asked about breakfast, about her work, about Pete. She said he was flying in again tomorrow, to finalize. I nodded and set my plan in motion. I started with the county clerk, pulled every document filed under my name. Divorce decree, parental termination, power of attorney. Pete had access to all of it. I had given it to him, in trust. But he'd used it during my last blackout, when I'd been sedated for surgery overseas. I checked the dates. He filed while I was unconscious. I called a contact from JAG, asked quietly if forging a signature from a sedated combat vet was still considered ethical. He didn't laugh. I ran a forensic scan on the documents, got the strokes analyzed. The pen pressure was mine. But the signature? It was lifted, digitally implanted. Perfect, but fake. I sat across from my daughter that evening. She was quiet, her eyes puffy. She wouldn't eat. "Did your mom say anything else?" I asked. She nodded. "She said you gave up, that you didn't want us anymore." I swallowed the acid and smiled. I handed the papers to my wife after dinner. She looked down. One was a scanned forensic analysis, the other a court motion for fraud investigation, and the last a photo. Her and Pete, kissing, in my uniform jacket, the one I'd reported missing 5 months ago. She blinked. Then the mask dropped. "You were gone," she said, voice low. "We thought you were dead." You told her I was dead. It was easier that way. Pete's been here, for her, for me. I stared at her, calm, empty. "You forged my signature while I was unconscious." She didn't deny it. "Your own lawyer," I whispered, "the man I trusted to protect everything." Tears welled up, but I didn't move. I left her there, sitting at the table, the truth in front of her like a scalpel. Court was quiet, civil even. She didn't speak, Pete didn't show. They'd been warned. The judge read the evidence, asked me if I wished to press charges. I said no, but I did request something else: full custody, retroactive restoration of parental rights, and a restraining order. She sobbed. I didn't look at her. I just looked at my daughter, who stood beside me, holding my hand like it was the only solid thing left in her world. I walked her out of the courtroom, stopped at the steps, handed her a single envelope. Inside, her birth certificate. Reissued. Father, me. Mother, sealed. We drove away. Not a word spoken. Only the hum of the engine and the rain sliding down the windshield like old lies. She called once, left a voicemail. No apologies, just anger. Panic. Pete had left. The bar was investigating him. Her accounts were frozen. She said I ruined her life. I didn't respond. Because I hadn't ruined it. She had. I just documented it and returned the files. I watched my daughter sleep that night, peacefully, a soft grip on her stuffed bear. Her world would be different now. Not perfect, but truthful. She didn't need to know the details, only that her father never left her, never signed her away, never died. I walked out to the porch, lit a match, dropped the forged documents into the flames, watched them curl and vanish. And in that moment, I realized something. Some wars don't need bullets, just silence, proof, and the right moment to strike.